Welcome back to Talkaholic Studios and the third episode of our Boss Bipocs series. This is Iman.
And this is Razia.
This series on our channel features interviews with people of color in our community who are doing big, amazing things and that we'd love to learn more about. So today we'd like to meet Manal Ali. Hello, Manal.
Hello.
Is a graphic designer and illustrator based in Toronto, Ontario. She's been working in graphic design roles for about 7 years and has been freelancing in illustration, design, multimedia, and community projects for a long time. Her future aspirations includes becoming an animator. She loves Avatar: The Last Airbender, cosplays frequently as her favorite characters, and was also the genius creator behind the Gingerbread Mosque and most recently Gingerbread Tuk Tuk, which the mosque is available to download online, by the way. And she's also just recently launched her print site, so you can get your art prints over at inprint.com. We'll definitely drop the link below and it'll be somewhere on this screen. But welcome, Manal.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being on with us. We're going to get into a fun little segment. We're going to start with our 10 questions that is part of our series. We ask our guests 10 questions to get to know them better. The idea is that, Manal, you answer on your gut response, so like within the seconds of us asking it. But it's going to be a rapid fire round. You got this. You're good.
Stress. Listen, I just had a dentist appointment. The side of my mouth is completely numb, so if I'm slurring, I'm really sorry.
No worries.
It makes it more fun, if anything. Alrighty, so your first question is, what's the best quality someone can have?
Respect, mutual, I guess, like the want for communicating. I suppose that's what it is. It's like the instinct to be like, I want to make clear communication with another person. For me, that means just being respectful.
Love that.
Nice. All right, what's your greatest fear?
Oh, drowning? I'm so scared of low oxygen situations.
Valid. That's valid fear.
We agree. Who's your role model? And it can be living or dead.
There's so many. I want to always put my mom first, though, because that woman is, like, next level. I cry like this. She'll go through a million things and be like, what are we doing next? Let's go. I want to learn how to do that. So.
Amazing.
Definitely. All right, so fill in the blank. My greatest goal in life is...
Oh, God. To be part of the movement that's bringing Muslims into a positive limelight in media spaces.
Nice.
What's the best advice you've heard or been receiving?
Oh my God. So know when it's finished and don't worry about if it's perfect.
Oof. That's
I like it.
advice. Oh my God.
Oh my God, yeah. Like,
Where do you feel the happiest?
my cats.
Oh.
I 100% agree with that.
Iman also has a cat, by the way.
I do have a cat.
Hey. What's your cat's name?
Her name's Luna.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that
what about
name.
yours?
Very Sailor Moon vibes.
Yeah. What about yours?
Koji and Gibbs. They were both named by my brothers for very silly reasons, which I can get into later.
I'm gonna remember that one. What do you dislike the most in a person?
Condescension?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best way to show love?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay. I was watching the other episodes, being like, people answered some good answers, but here I am being like, I don't know.
You're doing great.
I want to say I feel like it comes back to communication. Knowing what a person wants, I guess. That doesn't mean you have to read their mind, but just ask them. Like, sometimes I'm like, I want space, and that's how you can show me love, by leaving me alone. And sometimes you're like, I just want someone to listen to what I have to say. So asking, maybe that's what it is.
What is your greatest flaw and strength?
I get very lost in the pursuit of... I feel like it comes back to the perfection advice of, like, just wanting to be the best at everything all the time. And, like, it's so silly because it's not possible. So you said the flaw and the strength?
Mm-hmm.
it can be a double-edged sword. Can I use it as an answer for
Yeah.
for both? It's
Yeah,
like it becomes a fatal flaw when you don't know boundaries, and it can be a really good strength because I know that I do my best for things that I care about.
definitely.
And then your last question: if you were not yourself, who would you be?
In what context? Is this a multiverse question? Is it like
A true comics fan would only ask that question. I'll say just in regular life, like right now, if you like, gun point to your head, if you were not yourself, who would you be right now?
maybe my dad? It was kind of random, but I feel like I've inherited a lot of things from him, and it would be nice to understand his sense of responsibility, and like he's very very skilled but also very like timely. Like I always joke that if he was not whatever like profession he's in now, he would have been military because he's so like this needs to get done, I'm gonna get it done right now, I'm gonna like fix this, I'm gonna fix that, I'm gonna make sure all my kids are taken care of, make sure our family's taken care of. Like, so yeah, I mean, I hope that I can embody more of that.
You did it, Manal. You got through the 10 questions. She survived.
I'm on edge.
That was great. I do want to start because I know Iman has it top of mind. I want to know the story about your cats.
Yes, definitely tell me.
Oh, okay. So this is where I need to know my boundaries because sometimes I talk about them for too long. But very quickly, their names. Koji is a very large cat. He's also very serendipitous in a way. Like there was a full year where I was looking at like different shelters and stuff because I really, really wanted a cat. I've always had pets growing up, and so like maybe spent like 5 years without a pet, which was weird for me. I was like, I really want an animal in the house. Let's just get our animal. And so like I was going to shelters and visiting cats, and I was like, I don't feel like any of these cats are like speaking to me. Like they're not my friend or whatever. So I just gave up. I was like, it's okay. Like we'll figure it out one day. And then a random day, my mom starts like shouting. I can hear her from the kitchen. She's like, "There's a cat in the house!" And I was like, "What just happened?" Like she usually would leave the door open of the kitchen when she's cooking, so like smoke and stuff would just go outside. She saw a flash of a cat running from the kitchen to the basement, and then we were like, "Oh, that's weird. Like let's go check. Our neighbors have a cat. He sometimes comes." And we're like, "Probably neighbor's cat, whatever." We go down their basement. We check everywhere. There's no cat to be found. We're like, "Oh, maybe he left already. He must have come in and left. No big deal." Close the door. 8 hours later, we hear a meow. And like I come downstairs and Koji's right there. Like he's just a big, chunky, like tan and white cat, terrified out of his mind, standing in the middle of our living room. We're like, how did he get here? The doors are all closed. But it turned out he was like scared and in our basement for 8 hours straight. It was also winter time, so he's probably cold and looking for a warm place to go. And we were like, oh my God, like what just happened here? And he darted out and ran away. And then sort of over the span of the next like week or so, he kept coming back and forth, and I fed him and he got comfortable. So we took him to like the shelter to get him scanned for a microchip. We put up posters where like someone must have lost their cat. Like nobody claimed him. Or like one lady did say that he looks like her cat. She came over, and I don't think it was the same cat, unfortunately. We took him to the vet, and they were just like, just get him vaccinated and dewormed and he's yours. And I was like, okay, I think he's the perfect cat. I feel like I was looking for him, and maybe I was like he was looking for me too.
That's so sweet.
That's so sweet.
You definitely have to send pictures so we can put them up like on the
as
screen.
you're talking, we're gonna do like a whole montage and like a little JPEG of him like moving around in like a fake basement. We'll love it. We'll do the whole thing.
So down for that. I love it. And he got named Koji by my brothers. We were all struggling to come up with a name, but they were like, he's so huge, we should call him Godzilla. And I was like, no, that's horrible. And then they were like, let's call him like the Japanese version of it, which is I can't pronounce it, but it's like Kojira or something. And then we were like, let's just call him Koji for simplicity's sake. And then
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Amazing.
The other one is Gibbs. His is very simple. My parents were watching a lot of NCIS. If you watch NCIS, there's a special agent, something Gibbs in that, and we were like, we just want a short, one-syllable word for like a crazy kitten like him, and he was named.
How did you get Gibbs?
Oh, he was a friend of a friend found a stray cat who had babies, and so she had kittens that were looking for families, and we were like, let's take one, because she really needed to get them to different homes. She has like 2 kids and 7 kittens in her house, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. So we're like, sure, we'll take one out of your hands. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So
I
cute.
love hearing how people get their cats because most of the time it's a pretty crazy story. Like for some reason, acquiring cats is like a struggle.
It's true. It's how did you get Luna?
Like I knew someone whose cats had babies and she was giving away the kittens, and it's funny because like as opposed to you, my family, we didn't do pets. Like we didn't do pets growing up except I had birds. And that was like my only chance, and then like once the birds died it was like that was that. But I've been wanting a cat forever, and then when I heard of these kittens I was like, that's it, we're getting cats. And I like begged. I was like, I begged my mom. I was like, listen, they're free. It's a kitten, like one kitten. What are you gonna, it's cute. Like, so I finally convinced her, and we went to go get her. And she was just trouble from the start. She did not want to leave. I mean, rightfully so. She doesn't want to be taken from her mother. But she, like, the owner handed her to me. And, like, I've never handled a kitten before. So she handed her to me, and Luna freaked out, obviously. Jumped out of my hands, ran under their couch. And then they had to get her out of the couch. So basically she was traumatized, okay? She was traumatized. I felt so bad. But we put her in the carrier finally. I brought her home. And, like, I don't know about you, but like leading up to getting this cat, like I was obsessively on YouTube, like how to take care of a kitten, like what to do when they, I was that person. So I brought her home, and they say to like leave them in a smaller area for them to get used to your surroundings, like close them off kind of thing. So like I closed her off in our kitchen in the basement because that was the only place I could think of. And then when I opened the carrier, she came out, and I was like, oh, kitten. And she immediately I don't know how she scanned the area so quickly. Immediately ran under a dishwasher.
No.
And I was like, easy. So we pull out the dishwasher. She's not there. So apparently we had a hole. So like our dishwasher is those ones where like go into under the sink. So there was a hole under the sink in like the wall that went under the sink behind like the cabinet wall. And so, like, there was no way to access it. It was, like, completely boarded. There was no way to access it. So she was in there because she was scared, and it was a small space, and she didn't come out for, like, I want to say, like, 8 to 10 hours.
No way.
I was like, Luna! And she was, like, obviously not responding because she doesn't know that. And, like, left out food for her, and, like, she would just meow, and I felt so bad. I was like, there's no way I just got this cat, and, like, I killed her. Like, this is it. And it's gonna be over. But eventually, I guess she, like, was like, okay, I probably should come out. Like, this is not comfortable. So she came out, like, at 11 p.m. I think she ran in there, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 p.m. Came out, and then, but it was the cutest thing because she finally came out, and then she fell asleep on me, and I was like,
oh my god.
And that was 6 years ago, and now she's a fat cat, happy cat. So
no, that's so cute. That's the most like, I don't know, it's like the biggest compliment when a cat trusts you enough to like sleep on you. Nothing could.
After I traumatized her.
Yeah, but it happens. Kids get
I don't.
They're crazy.
I've never felt more outside of the circle, like the greatest amount of FOMO in my fucking life than just right now. So my story is, my parents hate animals, and I've never been able to get a cat, even though I want one so bad.
Yeah, listen, you're welcome to.
Sorry?
Yes.
It took me a long time. Like I had to convince, I had to beg. Yeah. And then, even then, I was shocked it happened, but.
Yeah, it'll get one day. Yeah, we'll make a whole fucking episode about that when that happens. Rosie gets a cat. We'll invite you, Manal, for that one, just so you can celebrate.
I love that. I want to celebrate that so bad. Sometimes you just gotta do it. Don't ask permission, and the parents fall in love with them harder than they ever expect. And they're like, I heard my dad. Like my dad didn't want one. Yeah, no, my dad didn't want one, and I like maybe like a couple months after I heard him like baby talking one of them. I was like, Abu. Welcome to come over and like hang out with Koji and Gibbs anytime.
Yay, you guys.
They're all yours.
How exciting. So I need to probably give context, like how usually the people we've had on to Boss Bipocs before in the past is that we've known our guests somehow. So Iman has known Hanan. Both of us have known Awal for a while, and I know Manal through Mist, which was like this lovely interscholastic tournament competition thing that a lot of Muslim students in the GTA did in high school. But I've known her since and like followed her online journey, and she's an artist, so I 1000% was paying attention, and I'm like in awe of her work ever since, and her growth has been crazy since she started. So we were curious to ask, and of course you're on the podcast, we want to know what do you enjoy the most about being an artist, because your journey, I mean, you've been dedicated for so long. Like, where's that passion coming from?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't even, sometimes I'm like, I don't know why I do this, like throw it out the window and like go into real estate or something. But it's a struggle. It's struggle city, like being in the arts period, like I think for anybody, and like for being like a person of color in the arts is, and like Muslim girls too, particularly, I feel like it's so hard. But I keep bringing up communication because it's something that I feel personally that I'm not the best at with language. But when it comes to art, I feel like at the very least I can communicate something a little bit better than if I was to say it. Sometimes it's not even a matter of like finding the word. Sometimes I'm just like, I just don't want to say that out loud. It's making me cringe or whatever. But like I can draw it and I don't feel so bad about it. But I feel like the biggest thing with art and with graphic design too is finding ways to make communication accessible. Like I feel like that's a really, really important part, and part of accessibility I think should be interest as well, where like sometimes there are accessible things but there might not be very, I don't know, you might not like enjoy, you're just like, oh well, this is a document, or someone who's might be a lecture, and all those things are very, very substantially amazing. I just like the aspect of art that colors it in a way that makes you sort of drawn to it. So I just want to be, you know, Pokemon theme song, be the very best that no one ever was type of thing. But like, I don't need to be that person, but I want to be part of whoever contributes to the largeness of whatever is happening now. You can see this sort of emergence of a lot of Muslim people, particularly in arts and stuff, that I think that's what motivated me to continue on. But I also just enjoy it. It's fun. It's like you get to level up with skills and visually see it, which is a nice part about art that I don't really see in like a lot of other things. When I do try to improve skills, I'm like, I can actually see that I'm getting better at like doing this one thing, and like that's very motivational. So like, maybe also I kind of like I like that not a lot of people are in it. Sometimes it feels like a nice thing to kick off. Or I talked to this one, sorry, this is getting very long, this answer, but I was talking to a friend. I was talking to this friend, he's also a Muslim guy who's in music, and we both really like sort of like dipping your toes in the water, learning about industries, and also trying to help other people to also join. Because I know it's not a very common thing for a lot of people yet, but I know it will be. Like it's as generations of like our parents being immigrants or ourselves being immigrants, I think like as those generations progress, it's gonna inshallah get more and more common. So hopefully it just gets better and better from here.
Yeah, definitely. And like I your point about progress is so true, because there's not a lot of times where you can see, like you can physically go back and be like, oh wow, like you can see that how you progress. And so how did you get to this point? Did you find that you always had like an affinity for arts, or was it something that came to you like that you found an interest in later on? How was that like process of finding your place in the arts?
I just really liked movies growing up. I wanted to be an animator. I didn't know what an animator was. I just knew that I liked drawing characters and this and that. And since I was young, I was always like enrolled in art classes and stuff. I did GCSE O-levels in the Middle East with like a fine arts course and stuff, and I did well in it. And I think having that mentorship of like my art teacher, Mr. Atkins, I really miss him sometimes. He was very encouraging. He was like, you're talented and you could do it, and like you could do more and more. And like I found progress in being in those spaces with people that were encouraging or even competitive. I had this like person in my class who was just so talented. She was such a talented girl, and everyone would be like, Manal and Snedge, or like neck and neck when it comes to like doing their art. And I was like, no, Smidge, why? Like, I'm gonna be better. So I feel like I'm forgetting the question, but like were you asking about like why I stuck to it, or what kept
Or like,
me?
yeah, just like your process of making that decision of like, this is what I'm going to do.
Oh, you know what? That one probably became because of Mist, actually. It was Mist that prompted the need for our team to have like this flag. So we wanted an emblem of some kind. And my teacher was like, "Well, you're an artist, right?" And I was like, "I think so." He's like, "You're gonna make a logo for our flag." And I was like, "I don't know how to use Photoshop." And like I cried for 2 nights straight trying to understand Photoshop and make this one logo, and I made it. It was fine. It was pretty ugly, but like whatever. Like you make progress, right? And you're like, "This is amazing." I'm like, magnum opus, like this is great. So I learned that from him, like not from him so much, but because of his push. And then because of Mist, I kept volunteering to do like graphic design with them, and I learned that illustration and design tie in pretty well. And I think sometimes when you're able to do both, they overlap really beautifully. So thanks to Mist, like I kept volunteering with them and like doing work with them, and then I went on to like other organizations and built up a portfolio. So yeah, I would say Mist and IFS were like huge contributors to forcing me to stay in this in a way.
That's awesome.
No, it's insane. It's crazy because like I mean I even look back to like my experience at Mess and the same thing of like I was just gonna ask you what did you think what your turning point was for like having confidence in like making art, because that was my thing, was that you can love doing art, you can love doing art for yourself, but there's like something that usually happens that you're like, oh, I don't just enjoy this, like I'm good at this, like there's that level of like confidence that you're like, wait, I actually don't feel bad about sharing my work to other people anymore. Like
Yes.
which is a huge jump, right? Making shit for yourself and then showing it to others is like a huge jump for most artists. But and it's crazy too because like Manal and I actually shared like a hotel room in Detroit for Miss. I remember I think back and I'm like, that was so long ago, but also not really.
Yeah, not really. It feels like it could have happened a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think of how long ago high school was, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't want to.
let's not take this discussion there. I'm gonna have like a midlife crisis moment right now. But your point about mentorship is such a huge thing, and like I think about that too with myself. I'm sure Iman has like moments in her life where she can think about teachers or even friends who have given her like that push. That someone having belief in you is a huge thing as an artist. Is there something that you would say to an artist right now who might be watching, or like something you might say to your younger self as like a piece of mentorship that you'd be like, actually maybe here's something that you should be focusing on. This is gonna, get you places. Like something you wish you knew.
Yeah, I don't know. Now you have the online space, so I always want to encourage people just like put your work up. And I know it's scary, and I know sometimes you feel like, oh, my work is not that great. Like, no one's going to care about it. Maybe 5 people will care about it, but those 5 people might turn out to be extremely important in your life. So it doesn't have to be posting online, but share your work with family, friends, show them what you're doing. People love to see that kind of thing. I love it now. Sometimes my cousins will message me who I haven't spoken to in years and be like, "Nappy, look, I drew this thing." I'll be like, "You're an artist. Like, this is your life goal. Like, this is your path, dude." And they're like, I'm doing math." They're like, "Okay, sorry." So definitely show it to people. Share it with people. I need, like, whether or not you want to do it as a career, whether you want to do it as a hobby, like, have fun with it. Like, don't get too lost. I get really lost in the pursuit of foundations. Like,
Yeah.
I want to do more animation stuff. So I'm like, I have to study all my anatomy and my gestures and my figure drawing and like all these things. I have to be amazing at it before I can even, put together like a concept piece. And that's true to only an extent, but like a big part of it is just making sure you're enjoying what you're doing, because you're going to make good work if you're enjoying it. That's why fan art is the best. And anytime someone makes a piece of fan art, I'm like, you loved that, and now I love it too.
Actual facts.
Yeah, true. It's definitely, yeah, it's so important that you like what you're doing, because if if something is stressing you out, you'll tend to avoid it. And I feel like that's a lot of us, that's what we experience, right? Like, we want to do something, but like the stress or the pressure of like not doing it well, or no one liking it, or even someone like verbally disliking your work, like all that it compounds on you to like just ignore it and leave it, and I'll do it later, and then it never happened. So yeah, definitely so important.
Oh yeah. As soon as you get that little burst of like motivation and like, oh, this is so exciting, like I just thought of something that I could make. I feel like you got to capitalize on that because it doesn't stay for too long. I just want to say also as a passing note, like Razia's work, mashallah, like I've seen similarly the progression, and I remember seeing there was one point where there was this like jump in your work, and I was like, she's enjoying herself, like she's having fun, and they look like dope. You had colors and you had like amazing shapes going on, and you were exploring different ways to like do character designs, and I was just like vibing. I was just watching. I was like,
so cute. You're such a sweetheart. I appreciate that. No, this is like, we'll edit in a moment of like segment where me, Manal, and Razia talk to each other exclusively, and Iman watches. But because I was just gonna say, I remember the point where, do you remember Miss had that auction at one point, and like did that art auction with, it was like very small, a few people pitched in their art pieces, and it was like a bit of a silent auction. Anyways, they did that to like raise money for Miss. This was years ago, like I barely remember too, but that was like one of the times that I pitched, or I gave in one of my bigger pieces, and it was like the first time I did like an acrylic painting of that size. And I was there. I remember you were there, but we didn't really know each other at that point. And then, like, fast forward to like after the whole Detroit trip, I think I posted it online after it had sold, and like way after the whole thing happened. And you're like, "That was you!" You like messaged me. You're like, "This is you the whole time." And I was like, yeah. It's so good to like get noticed. I appreciate it.
I love
like
that.
I don't forget at all.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You know what? To that point, I'm going to also put in a little piece of advice. Say nice things about other people's art publicly, because it is crazy how far it'll push someone. I know even the tiniest comment, I'll get some, I don't know if this is narcissism or vanity or whatever, but sometimes someone will be like, that's so cool, I want to buy a print of that. And I'm like, I guess I'm setting up a print shop because one person said they might buy a print of something. Like, it pushes you. It really does. So definitely say nice things about people's art. Even big time artists who are like, they seem unreachable. Sometimes I'll post comments on like people who like I idolize, for a lot, but like, you know, just like look up to and be like, I want to be like that person. I'll just leave a comment like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And like most of the time they're not going to see it, but the times that they do, like, I don't know, it just feels like a nice thing to do to someone else.
100%. Yeah, especially for like, I don't care who it's from. Like, honestly, just leave the comment with the heart eyes emoji and I'm good for the day. Like, you got me.
Yeah, I don't think it's vanity. I think we all need encouragement. Yeah, I think that's normal. It's a human. It's just being human.
You're right. Stop saying that. It's like, if I focus so much on the comments on my artwork, I'm not going to make good artwork. It's just like removed Instagram notifications for 2 years just so I would stop looking at it, but it happens.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when you think back to like all the work that you've ever done and like your process of becoming an artist and everything you put out there, do you have like a favorite? I know it's hard because I feel like you've probably done so much, but is there a favorite piece that you've ever done?
Yeah, I have one. It's because it was based on one of my favorite books, which is The City of Brass. And just like low-key, I've wanted to do an entire concept development project based around this book. And so it's actually right here. It's like this one that I did a while
ago. Look how cute that is.
That's so...
they're romantic as hell. Like, it was just my first time where I poured my entire everything into a piece with so much dedication. I didn't care about what was going to come of it. Like, I didn't care about who was going to see it so much as I cared about being true to the book and being true to the characters and, like, representing the way that I envisioned the book when I was reading it. And all I wanted was to, like, show these two characters in the moment that they were in. And I was like, oh, but like since then I haven't managed to do the same like level of like investment in a piece, and all I want now this year, like that's my goal, is like churn out a couple of more things similar to this. I'm using the same book, I'm like rereading it over and over again for like inspiration and stuff.
I love that.
That's The City of Brass by S.A. Chakrabarty, if anyone wants to read it. Fantastic.
Yeah, I've heard about it, and I've been it's on my list. It's on my list to read.
Is that something that you continually do, of like for sources of inspiration or like references, do you typically go to like literature or movies? Is like something that you revisit? Because I feel like every artist has their own niche, right? Of like, oh, like poetry really speaks to me, or like I'll take a line and then base a whole landscape on it. Like, is there something that's like that for you?
Yeah, it's usually particular people whose work kind of inspires. Sometimes it's just like I like seeing interesting folks on the street. Like they sometimes will like create just like, oh, there's a whole story. Like I can make a whole story about this person and like draw them. But most of the time it's yeah, I think it's narratives probably that I like. If I find myself getting lost in them, that's very, very encouraging. Because I don't know about you guys. Like I don't know if did both of you read a lot growing up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you find you still do? Okay,
Yeah.
That's good. I was gonna ask, do you find it difficult to read nowadays or no?
For me, yes.
Yeah, time-wise, yes, but I don't find it difficult in the sense that like I still can get lost in a book. Yes.
For me, it's I did an English major, so I had 4 years where I was like so into books, and then it's almost like the fatigue, like the aftermath, is what I'm going through right now. And it forces you to focus, right? Like reading is like the most you can't. It's not like binge watching where you kind of shut your mind off. You have to like actively sit there and read. So I find it tough.
Exactly. And Iman, I'm so happy to hear that you're still able to like get lost in a book, because I'm finding it just so difficult for that to happen nowadays. So when it does, it's really, really precious. Because like before, I would just be like, I feel like a lot of bookworms when you're young, like you lose weeks in books, and it's great. But like now it's just like it's exactly like you were saying, Razi. I did media studies and political science. It was like very reading heavy, a lot of like just like 4 years of nonstop, and it being sort of a source of stress. So I think only a few years ago is when I finally like rediscovered that, oh, actually I still love to read. It was great. So yeah, when I do find something that I get lost in, I'm 100% inspired to like do art of that like right away. I don't always, which is the worst part. And like I should have done it when I felt like it. Like now I don't feel like it anymore. But yeah.
And I guess like if you think about all the things that inspire you or all the work that you've seen, is there anything that's kind of like your dream project that you kind of like aspire to? Like this is this for me. Like this is what I want to do.
Yeah, there's so many. It's like I don't know why I get so embarrassed saying them out loud. They're so outlandish.
No.
But
I
will say it. I know people are like, manifest it, say it out loud. I'm like, hell no, no one's allowed to know. But for real, like well, speaking of City of Brass, Netflix actually bought they bought the rights for it, I think. So okay. I don't know what's in store for Netflix, what they're planning on doing with it. One of my dreams is to be like a concept artist with that project in alignment with whatever they're planning on doing with it. That's why I'm trying to like put together this like roster of like pieces that are informed by the books, but we'll see. But like my ultimate dream, I think, is to start like a studio. Like I want to start a big big studio for film, for animation, for like all kinds of productions, and really, really focus on, I mean, for everybody, but really focus on Muslim stories particularly. I think a lot of people want to do this, and I like that. Before I used to be like, this is my dream, and like I hate when other people have this dream too. But like now I like look at it, I'm like, I hope a lot of us have this dream, because we could collaborate and do something like way bigger than what like my single mind could probably dream up. Or like think of. I'm just very bad at the business side of things. I'm very like, I feel very entrepreneurial sometimes. Like I have all these ideas and I think they could all function, but just when the numbers get in there, I don't want to do this anymore. Like there's accounting involved. Like forget this.
No, amazing. And yeah, that's what collaboration is for. You just exactly. Business people to make your dreams, you make your ideas come to life.
Iman, bringing you back to the educational point, guys. Remember, collaboration is key. But it's crazy that you said manifest it, because I was joking with Iman, like when we were kind of thinking about what we should talk about, and I was like, we should just make a Manal tweet out right now, because like with the with the Twitter campaign of like, it'll have like Megan Thee Stallion saying like, I want a sold out concert. It was like from 2016, and it's a picture of her. So I was like, we need to get Manal to like say what her dream project is, and then like tweet it. So we can
we'll put it together.
Screen cap it.
I can't lie. I would trust both of you 100% to actually, like, I feel like if in collaboration with you both, if we were to do that, I feel like it would actually happen. Like, if I did it alone, I wouldn't feel that way. But there's something about like doing something together, which is much nicer. And plus, just whatever both of you are doing right now with, like, I feel like the stamina to consistently put out really good work, like you're doing with the podcast, but also your individual works that you're doing is very tough. And so I'm very inspired seeing people like yourselves, like, do things with consistency and with stamina and, like, putting together a big body of work that is very, like, it's quality work. Plus you're, creating networks with all these creators around you. Like, you're a powerhouse to me.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
So cute.
Wasn't expecting that, but thank you.
Oh God, I'm like flushed now. I'm gonna take a minute.
I mean it. It's really, really cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll wait for that Twitter post to go live, or we'll do it on our account. Screen cap, it'll be here. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, Talkaholics podcast exclusive. It was announced here.
Yeah, you heard it here. We were the first to know.
Yes. I'll be like, I owe all of this to these
Your Oscar
two people.
Speech will come back to us. We'll be at home like, yes, we did it, Iman.
Inshallah. I hope that's the case for all of us and all of our individual dreams as well.
No, yeah.
So sweet. Amazing. But this was so lovely. Manal, give us your socials. Where can people find you? If this is the first time they're hearing about you and they think you're cool and amazing, which they should, where can they find you on social media?
Everywhere. Should be known as Manal S. Ali. There's sometimes 2 dots between each, so Instagram is Manal S. Ali, in print is Manal S. Ali. Where else am I on? I will not link my Twitter because that's a hot mess. And my website is manalsali.com, which is probably where it's the easiest way to find all the rest of the good stuff.
Cool. We'll put all those links in the bio, and it'll all be here, what side of the video.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Manal. We really enjoyed having you. This was such a great conversation. We started with cats. We talked about art. It was a great time. We hope everybody listening in and watching also had a great time. And definitely check out Manal's work. Yeah. Definitely go support, okay? It's one thing to, check out the work. Go support her and buy a print, okay?
Yeah, guys, put the money down. Come on. Don't just watch her content. Do something about it. Yeah, especially the 5 friends of ours who watch this podcast. Ms. Ba, fucking all of our friends buy her fucking postcard right now.
Those 5 people, I love y'all.
All right. Thank you again, Manal. We hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely make sure to check out our socials at Talkaholic Pod. I can't remember. We'll link it. Well, it'll be somewhere. Not me forgetting our own socials. We'll link it. Check us out Instagram and Twitter, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
Oh, damn. Okay.
We're around here. We're around.
Come on.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I was very honored when you messaged and asked me to be part of it. So thank you.
No, I honestly, it was like one of the first people I thought of to have on the podcast. So I'm glad that you were available in here.
Like me and Razia have been talking, and we've all been like, "Okay, we need to contact Manal. We need to contact him."
Eventually, come on, Razia, just fucking shoot the fucking shot already.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Until next time, we will talk to you later. Bye.